It's not clear to me to what extent the psycholinguistic critique of the admittedly essentialist implications of Chomsky's competence theory originates in a confusion of research paradigms. Well, this could be adequately discussed only if there were clarity about the way in which competence theories can be tested and falsified. I don't know. I have the impression that psycholinguistic investigations proceed empirical analytically and neglect elimine the distinction between competence and performance. Foursies.
Oh, for God's sake, we've been brought up, we've been taught by our parents what's right or wrong. We all know right from wrong.
It's a matter of personal opinion, what you can live with. Your final decision should be something that's really soothing to you inside.
Well, I don't know, common sense. Yeah. What you get in trouble for doing and what you wouldn't.
Yeah.
When you try to make up your mind about what you're going to do, how do you know what's right or wrong to do?
I usually ask my parents.
Can I ask you a question?
What's up?
When you have to make a decision, in your life, how do you decide what's the right or the wrong thing to do?
Too long to start.
How do you know what's right and what's wrong?
Are you serious? Oh, right. How do I know what's right and what's wrong? Okay, let me tell you what's right and wrong. I'm really thinking about this. Just give me a second, all right? Right and wrong.
As long as you keep thinking, you'll be all right.
Okay. Deep breaths. Look, just give me a second, okay? I'm really getting this together now.
Think! How do you know what's right and wrong?
Everyone knows what's right and wrong. Everyone knows what's right for them and they do it. What's right for me may not be right for you.
Oh, so there are different rights and wrongs.
Sure, everyone decides for themselves what's right for them.
So it's a matter of personal opinion, what people think?
Yeah, definitely.
So everybody's right, right? Saying something makes it right.
Well, I might have been a bit hasty. I guess just having an opinion isn't enough to make something right.
There you go.
Great. Listen, I'd like to thank you for coming by. Listen, let's get together for coffee sometime if you're ever in town. Just a trim, not too short.
Put this word in your mind, justification.
Well, how often do people get around to that? Usually they're so busy trying to figure out what is right and wrong in any case that the question of how am I going to find this out in the first place for most people doesn't arise.
When most people when they say this is right, it means this is what I think should be done, this is what is good for me, and if it's wrong, this is what I think shouldn't be done, and this is what I think is bad for me.
Whatever pulls me in the right direction.
Feels right. Yeah. And then just let it flow. You have to go with the flow.
Now does your cat wear polyester pants?
Should I make a left? Right.
No, laugh, man.
What?
That's really weird because the ball game is starting.
You said right.
I don't know, man.
You said right. You said right. Oh.
This is my town, and I own the factory up here making bottles. We must employ about 75% of the people that live in and around this area. And we've been making bottles for, just before the war. My grandfather, in fact, started this business making glass bottles, but we've made the conversion to plastics about 15 years ago. All of our bottles are made out of plastic now. A couple of weeks back, I read something that really floored me. It seems that the substance we use in the manufacture of our bottle causes cancer in workers exposed to it. Needless to say, this was traumatic news. Well, at first, I tried to substitute a similar substance, but just wouldn't work. It just couldn't substitute. It seems that the substance we use makes our product unique, and that's really what enables us to sell it. So here I'm left with a dilemma. What do? I put thousands of people out of work? Because if I did close the plant, not only would our own people be on the street, but it would also affect literally thousands of people in the neighboring community, all for the sake of perhaps a few people that might contract this dreaded disease maybe 20, 30 years from now. Well, I've made my decision, and that is to keep the factory going, not tell anybody. I think that's best.
Okay, so I'm going to play the factory owner, and you should say to me whether you think I did the right thing or the wrong thing, and we'll take it from there.
Your grandfather used the glass bottles, why can't you go back to the glass bottles?
There's no real demand for them. I don't know how to make them either, and the factory is not geared up for them. Yeah.
Why don't you cut your profits for a few years and develop more research for the plastics that go into your bottle, and then tell the people what the problem is.
Well,
see how they react.
It's my opinion that I don't have to tell
your
them.
opinion could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think you should tell the people that they have the chance of getting cancer, and then it's their decision whether they want to work for you or not.
Okay, well that's an interesting opinion. You know, I considered that. You know, but really, I don't think that that's the right thing to do. My opinion is that you know, I should just keep the factory open.
But if you hide, you seem to have such a nonchalant attitude about this. Cancer's a big thing. I mean, it's not anything just to toy around with, and I think that your employees have the right to know that this chemical causes cancer.
Well, that's your opinion. My opinion is that they don't really, and that I'm going to just keep running the factory.
Well, why is your opinion more over mine? I mean, so what that you're the owner?
So, well, I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
So do I. I mean,
so what are we going to do?
Get up and fight.
Oh, all right. Hold on for 1 second. Let's get back to this question and the idea of justification. What am I doing when I keep saying it's my opinion?
Yeah. You're justifying your decision.
And don't people say that all the time? Whenever you're in a conflict with someone, you like to talk about it for a little while, and then you go, well, I guess to you think you're right, and to me I'm right, and you know, it just never, you never you wind up nowhere. I mean, did we decide what was right or wrong to do? So I can't just say that's my opinion, or that's what I think, or this is the way that I feel, and that makes it right. It doesn't make it right, because remember, we're not looking for something that can be used as an excuse or some kind of a rationalization. We're really looking for something that makes it right to do.
Larry, right? Wrong. Right? Wrong.
It's not what's good or bad, like in your mind, or your way of thinking. It's what I think is right. And if it's good for me, then it's right. As simple as that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how else can you decide what's right or wrong?
Society. Society tells you what to do. The laws. They say it's not good to kill. Well, how do you know that? Animals do it all the time. They establish that, we follow it. If we can't, too bad.
Society is saying to me that the economy is very bad, you know, couldn't be worse. And, you know, employing people is very, very important. We have to keep the workforce up, unemployment down. You can't just be closing factories for, you know, little things, maybe like, you know, a couple of people getting some cancer or something. I mean, think about it. They say to me, let's keep this society rolling. And the thing that's going to keep the society rolling is keeping these people employed. So I'm going to keep the factory open. This is, you know, society. This is, yeah, society.
You're using a scapegoat. You're trying to, your justification, you're trying to use society as your justification instead of...
Yeah, that's right. I am trying to use society as my justification. What do you think of it as a justification?
Why can't you just let the people choose? It's their life. You tell
Well, you know, why should I? I mean, society's message to me is that I should just keep the factory open.
Well, it's still going to be open.
So what you're saying is what society or what your peer says, that makes something right.
Yeah. I mean, let's say society told me to do this. Let's just say that they did. Right?
Okay, and suppose the economy was good. Then what would society say?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to think, oh, in 3 months the economy goes up, okay? Everything is all peachy keen, okay? Now what would happen to you?
That's a real good point.
You as an employer.
When society changes its mind, like when society said that slavery was okay, was it right? And when they said it wasn't okay, did it suddenly become wrong? Or was it always wrong and they just made a mistake about it?
Society? Sure. No one person makes right or wrong. Society does. They figure out what's right or wrong, and they make laws. We do wrong, we get punished.
So society makes right, and wrong?
Well, they don't make right, and wrong.
Oh, really? And I guess society's the wrong answer.
Well, they tell us what's right and wrong.
They don't tell us what's right and wrong. They tell us what we can't get away with. They're just rules. Societies try to pick the right ones, but they make mistakes.
You mean we shouldn't always do what society says?
If your friends told you to jump off the Empire State Building,
I'd tell them to jump in the lake.
Maybe ask what some other person thinks about. You ask someone else for their opinion. You ask a few people for their opinion.
And then do you do what they say?
Well, if I think it's right, yeah. If I think it's something reasonable to do.
Well, in the society that we're living in right now, in this country, the court is the final arbitrator. So I think you should let them decide. Who are you going to ask? Your uncle? Or your best friend? My judge is a learned man. And our society places a lot of faith in them.
But can you cite any examples of laws that you would call unjust?
But that's just in my own rationalization. And so what I think is unjust, you know, maybe it's wrong. So I'm just going to abide by the laws.
Really?
Left, right. Left, right, right. Wrong.
It's whatever I think. I try not to be too rational, and I try to go with my emotions instead of my mind, what I feel.
You know, I had a lot of trouble deciding whether or not to keep the factory open. And, you know, I really thought about it for a long time. I could not make up my mind. And finally, I decided that I was going to pray for guidance. So I prayed, and God told me to keep the factory open. My prayers were answered. And so I'm going to keep the factory open. I mean, God told me.
How if you put yourself in a worker's position?
Well, God puts himself in the worker's position.
That's
right?
true, but I'm saying you don't have to say that.
I don't think that a God would tell you to be, take someone's life.
Well, I had.
And who's to say?
I prayed and I had a religious experience.
You had an
God
answer.
told me.
You had an
I got an answer.
Some people may not believe in God. How can you make God make that judgment for them?
Well, I'm not making God do anything.
No,
God came
but
to
you're
me and
using
told
your
me.
own God. I
What
don't
do you
believe
mean,
in
my
God.
God?
I don't believe in God. You're coming up to me and saying, well, God told me to keep the factory open. Well, I don't think there's a God, so who's God? Who's going to believe in God?
Well, I guess I do have. You and I have a problem, don't we?
Yeah.
But I mean, God came to me.
There's no proof that he did.
Yeah, God.
What do you have to justify that God came down and told you to keep the factory open?
Well, I guess really the only thing I can do is just say that God told me, and I'm really sure about it, and I had a religious experience, and I'm absolutely certain.
But you need to justify it. Well, if your belief is so strong that you feel that that God came down to you and told you to keep it open, then that should be justification enough for in your mind. And if
It
it's
is
your
justification
decision,
in my mind.
right?
Exactly right. But
It's
the
your
question
decision.
is, does that make it right?
He exists.
Who exists?
Who exists? Look around. Somebody's responsible for all this.
Yes, and it's about time you found out who.
Cute. Be serious. It's amazing. Look at all of this. Sometimes I can't believe it.
It is pretty.
An intelligence far superior to our own is at work here. Just look at this landscape.
I just love what he's done with those rhododendron.
The more I consider it, the more dazzling God's plan seems to me.
The blueprints must have been enormous.
Come on, can't you be serious? What's the problem?
I just don't see why you always have to bring God into the picture.
How can you leave God out of the picture? I mean, nature is so incredible. It's too perfect to be a chance thing.
Don't knock chance. A lot can go right in 4 billion years.
I just won't buy a universe without any instructions.
Especially not in kit form.
You expect me to believe that we and all of this are merely the product of some intergalactic crapshoot?
Gentlemen, place your bets.
Mary, how did we ever start dating in the first place?
God knows.
Is there such a thing as the answer? Is there ever? I mean, do you think so? What do you?
Well, like this today, I don't think that this answer could ever end. Like some things, I don't think there's any definite answer, and we just seem to be going on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping from one thing or another. The other thing, like we'd get down to religion, and then society would come back into it again, or something like that.
When you're sitting here with a problem that you have and you're trying to decide whether it's right or wrong, how do you go about doing it? Should we sit here and just go down the list and say, well, my opinion says it's right?
I mean, there's a certain sense of frustration, right? We went through all these things, and we didn't get an answer to the question.
Because here we are, we just spent like an hour and a half deciding what makes something right or wrong, and we have no idea what makes something right or wrong now.
I mean, it may be that this seems to, like you said, that we just bounce back and forth and we don't get anywhere. But I think we actually have gotten somewhere. We now know that you can't just say, it's my opinion, and that makes it right. And you can't just say that this is what society says, and that makes it right. And you can't just say that God told me, and that makes it right. Now, we may not have answered the question, but we've gone a long way towards getting an answer. And we're in a position to do some real work on the subject.
I never know whether it's right or wrong. I never know. I do things. If it comes out right, it comes out right. If it comes out wrong, it comes out wrong. I don't know. I don't take things so serious anymore.
Okay, thank you.
The main thing is that you are decent. This is the main thing. That you are decent, you respect your fellow man, you don't destroy things. That's the main thing.
Thanks a lot.
You know, the fun's gone out of this. At first, hey, we had some laughs, but now I'm not laughing.
This is serious.
I've never been wrong this often in my life. I feel really dumb. My ego shot. You know, I'm pretty smart on the outside. People think I know what I'm talking about. If word of this ever gets around...
I won't tell.
You know what else? I've stopped wondering who you are. I don't care where we are or why we're here. These ropes have stopped digging into my wrists. You know what's on my mind? You know the only thing on my mind? How do we know what's right and wrong? That's it. That's all I've been thinking about.
You've become philosophic.
Then how come I'm more confused about right and wrong than I've ever been? Right and wrong, right and wrong. Everybody knows right and wrong, except me. Thanks a lot. I'll tell you what, let's not talk about anything else, and let's not discuss any other topics, okay? So how about it, huh? I'm down to my last 12 brain cells. What do you say? How about a major hint, huh? Come on. What's the answer? What's going on?
You're free.
That's it?
There's the door.
You mean I can go?
Nothing's stopping you.
But what about right and wrong?
It's right for you to leave. It would be wrong for me to keep you here any longer.
So this is philosophy?
Hey, kid. Catch.